You're listening to Rodney Rogers Outdoors Radio, where we turn it upside down and look at the outside from the inside out. It's safe, it's legal, and we're having a blast. So put your shoes on, my friend, because we're going outdoors.
Voila. Back at it again. Good evening. This is Rodney Rogers. You're listening to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. This is episode 35. How am I doing? Woohoo! Got it right on.
One for one.
I had to count through. I had to do my gazentas.
One.
My partner, Coach He's in Crime, Mike Coy.
Yes, and I would like to say congratulations.
Thank you.
No, not to you.
Oh.
To Miss Stacy McNaughty.
Oh, yes.
For catching the biggest fish of the day.
Oh.
On Sunday. So,
nice. Oh, we have applause. She caught an amberjack.
Yeah.
It's a little bit undersized. A little bit.
Yeah, still the biggest fish of the day.
It was the biggest fish of the day. And it is an edible fish. If you're looking for that special edible fish, she nailed the only edible fish of the day. Only fish of the day.
You could have eaten that one, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not legally.
Yeah.
But there was some meat on there, like a McNugget or something.
Yeah, did you see how fat and round that thing was?
A McAmberjack.
Yeah, a McJack sandwich. McAmberjack. Yes, you could have ate that. You would have got in trouble. But yes.
So congratulations, Stacy.
We did not skunk out. We
exactly
went offshore fishing Sunday and got ourselves caught in a storm. They brew up pretty quick out there.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a little rough at times, but not too bad.
We went out of Vero Beach.
Fort Pierce.
Fort Pierce.
Yeah, we went out of Fort Pierce, and we went out about 20 miles. And we saw the storm coming. We knew it was going to come, but it dodged us. It really didn't, a whole lot didn't get us. The wind around the storm is what got us.
Yeah.
And that caused a little too much wind. And it's just no fun that way anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we pulled the lines up and yanked out, and we come across this one grass patch.
That was the thing because, we believe that the storm kind of blew away a lot of the weed lines, scattered them.
Well, yeah, the big storm that came through, was it last week?
Yeah, and the day and two before, I think it was storming, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the end of that tropical storm, whatever it was.
Alpharetta? I don't know what it was.
Shanasia, something like that. And it kind of scattered the weed lines out, and we couldn't really find a definite weed line. So I've seen a lot of people out there trolling. Just seemed to be hard to get a bite. Rough water and scattered weeds. We did find a big weed patch. It was about 20 to 30 feet wide. And I started chunking some bait under it. And a lot of times in those situations, we talked about this, sometimes you got to get those fish fired up. They're there. They're just really not into the...
I believe the day was starting to turn around.
I do too.
I believe that was, we found the spot, and there was definitely a lot of bait fish there. And I think
we
would have been able to hang out there a little while longer.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as she was pulling it in, I seen a small mahi come into it with it. You've seen all the blue and the greens all around it. Well, you've seen them before. I don't know if you saw it that day.
Yeah, I did not see it that day. We were how far out?
Right at 20 miles.
Okay.
Probably a little less than right at 20 miles.
Okay.
So yeah, it was. I think we could have salvaged something that day, but it got a little rough, and the captain gets a little seasick sometimes, so we can't really push it.
Nonetheless, it was good to be out of the water.
What a day! Did you see how beautiful that water was?
Yeah. There's still something about just being out there, catching fish or not, just
storm or not. Yeah, just being out there is really awesome. So we got to enjoy Sunday out there. 4th of July, we just had 4th of July. Happy birthday, America.
Yes.
Enjoyed that.
You did it.
We did.
Congratulations. You've done it again.
What'd I do?
No, America.
Oh, America. Oh.
It's not all about you, Rodney.
You sure? I sure wish it was. It's going to happen a lot tonight. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, when you look at me and you go, you did it, I'm like, woohoo! What'd I do?
Yes, I did.
That's right, boy. I did
I'm just giving you moral support, Rodney. You did it, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So another year.
Congratulations on the coyote spotting.
Now that was awesome.
That was today.
Yeah, it was today. Yeah, it was actually it was about 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Pulled over the side of the road to take some notes. It was actually under the bridge. I was in the shade a little bit. I seen what I thought was a deer, and it's like 100 some odd yards away. And while coyotes are not rare in sight, like if you live up north or in the west, you see a lot of them. You just don't see
like
a lot.
Seeing an elephant walking the streets.
Right, exactly. And and I thought, man, that's a big dog. And then the closer I got, of course, I established it was a coyote. So I immediately fired up the camera and got a little bit of footage of it. And I turned it into Channel 6, and they're going to do something with it. So we may be on the news.
I'm going to call you tomorrow.
So actually, and it was a huge coyote. The legs were just...
Well, I think it makes it more noteworthy just because of the area you saw it.
Exactly.
You saw it down by the Universal area, right? I mean,
exactly.
It was
just a few miles from Universal.
And there's trees and stuff, but there was houses. I could see houses on the other side.
Absolutely. It was right on Kirkman, where the Kirkman Bridge goes over the turnpike. There's a little patch of woods there, and behind that's like Turkey Lake there. So, or right around the Turkey Lake area, but it's right beside it. You can see houses in the video. So yeah, I mean it's proof in the pudding. I mean, and this coyote just really didn't really care about me at all. So
when he went off the camera onto the right, what was back there? Was there more woods that he went on into?
I could see where that's a pretty common pattern for him or other coyotes or other animals. As driving forward, I kind of investigated and I kind of seen a path where everything's walking pretty normal. So it tells me there's probably deer there as well, because deer follow the pattern more than anything. And if you see in the video, you see him, he's like standing there and all of a sudden he hears something moving through the grass. And then he runs right over to it and he's checking it out and he can't really find out what it is. Their hearing is just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Now are coyotes, is it coyotes? Coyotes?
Coyotes.
It's all fair game.
It's all fair game.
I would like to say coyotes, please.
Let's call it coyotes tonight.
Do coyotes feed during the day, or are they typically nocturnal? Or?
They feed whenever they can.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 90% of the coyotes I've seen have been at daytime. You know, Colorado, you hear them coming through the woods, and they walk right up on you. So they hunt pretty much opportune, just like any other predator, pretty much opportune hunters. And they're always searching. So yeah, primarily in the daytime. They do a lot of night. It's easy,
Sure.
When they coyote hunt, they mostly primarily do it at night. It's easy. Their eyes shine up and they're able to shoot them. So yeah, it was a huge coyote.
It was very cool.
Yeah, it was
nice little surprise in the middle of your day there.
Oh man, it was just loud. It was like, wow, check it out. And I was glad I got footage of it.
Yeah.
That was my, when you do what we do, it's always helped to say, to see the footage.
It's a different day when every cell phone has a pretty incredible video camera.
I'd have had that thing when I was 14, 15, Mike.
You'd have broke it.
Oh, several times. I'd have had to have a bunch of them. But we had those old VHS. You could sneak up on anything.
Speaking of breaking things, I'm a big GoPro fan.
Yes.
And when we went, my wife and I went diving in Stewart last weekend.
Right.
I bought a little filter for the front of my camera for my GoPro.
The red filter?
The red filter.
Okay, yeah.
When you go into water, at least in the ocean, it takes a lot of the blue. As you go deeper, the colors disappear.
Right.
And the red brings back some of the warm colors, where rather than just being blue and cyan. But anyways, I bought this filter. It cost me about $70.
Oh wow.
But it was a filter. Got it right here. The Polar Pro Switchblade 3, and the cool thing about this one was it's got a macro lens on the front of it. This swings out, and it's also got the red filter that swings up. So you can do it, basically with a naked lens,
right,
or the red filter, or the macro filter, or a combination of both of them. But on the first dive I used it on, somewhere in the dive, the red filter disappeared. I don't know what I did. I don't know how it happened. All I know is that when I came up, it wasn't there.
Right.
And so I went on the website and I emailed these people, and basically I said, "Do you guys sell spare parts?" Because I didn't want to just go spend $70 on
a whole new setup again. Right.
Long story short, the dude emailed me back, and
too late for that.
He said, "Well, can you tell me more about how it happened?" And I'm thinking,
here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I'm not really looking for favors or anything. I'm looking for I'm just looking for a spare part. Yeah, I'll buy the part. I'm looking for any of that. But he emails me back and said, "We can probably take care of it. I'm just looking for it." So I just told him, I said, "You know what? I realize there's so many variables you guys can't control. I don't even know. I was paying attention to so many other things. I just know it disappeared, and now I can't use it anymore. And we're taking a trip next week. I'd love to have it by then." He put it in the mail today. Mailed one back to me totally free of charge.
Really?
A whole nother unit. And he goes, "You'll have it before your trip."
Wow.
So I wanted to personally give a plug to the serve. I mean, number one, the footage did look great on it.
Oh, it did. It looked amazing.
And so I wanted it again, but to turn around and spend another $70 right away would have been a pill to swallow. But Polar Pro is the name. Polar Pro Switchblade. I bought this one at the Divers Direct, but I'm sure you can get them anywhere that GoPro accessories are sold. But I wanted to thank them for spinning that around at no charge to me. And
that is awesome.
3 or 4 emails we batted back and forth, but totally hooked me up and took care of me.
You know what he probably understands is being a new product. Maybe they, there's not everything they know about this thing,
sure.
And that's probably why he was hoping for some info, so we could fix that. Whatever happened, but like you said, you're excited. You really don't know what in the world.
Yeah, and there's so much other stuff going on. That was the same day my wife about got nailed by the boat going overhead, and
we have that
so
video.
It might have been the same dive for all I remember, but anyways, thanks to those guys for hooking me up with that.
Totally thanks. Yeah, because I want one for my next GoPro. I'm gonna get the Hero 3.
Dude, I want you to go right now. I'm gonna describe one more thing for you before we get
absolutely.
Go to GoPro's website.
GoPro.
This is my pick of the day outside of the Polar Pro.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this. They just announced this today. Again, I'm a big GoPro fan, and I'm gonna start describing it as you're going to the website. So right there at the top, go to GoPro, and at the top, click on Mounts. They announced today the new Sportsman mount.
Yes.
And did you see this? Some of the
You know what? I did not see it. I saw the little clip for it.
Right in the middle at the top, right there, Mounts. See that?
Yeah, right there.
Click there.
Pow. But I wanted to look at it, and I was hoping you and I could talk about it. So this actually works out great.
And it's the one on the left right there. And it's basically got a clamp on it. It's almost like a vice type of clamp.
Did I lose? Okay.
But look at the bottom. So you can clamp it right on your fishing pole.
That's
got it on an
arrow
on the barrel of your gun.
Oh,
look at some of the angles off to the right. The shot angles they've got though.
The bow.
But it's just another quick way of attaching it on more gadgets.
Wow.
But this one's specifically designed for the outdoorsman. And like these examples they use are the fishing rod and the arrow and the shotgun and.
That is amazing.
So it looks like a GoPro Sportsman mount is in our future here.
Yeah, because I saw just that picture and I thought, well, what is that? You know what? And I didn't have time to research it.
I thought of you, Rodney.
Well, right on, man. It's finally about me.
Yes,
it's about
this
me.
One's about
back
you.
To me again.
When's your birthday?
November 2nd.
It's coming soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because you could put that dude on a plethora of things.
I like the fact that it just clamps on. See, it's $70 is the magic number for all this stuff.
$69.99.
$70.
You know what they're doing? They're seeing the GoPro guy. I mean, what? Let's just take a minute. What's the best advertising in the world? Every video you see says GoPro this, GoPro that, GoPro.
It is a self-promoting product.
Absolutely.
I watched a special on the owner of that, and he said,
Did you see
yeah. And that's exactly what he's saying is we don't do any of it. People do it for us.
Yeah.
Every day they release a new video, but it's nothing they went out and shot. It's people because now you want to see your video on the GoPro website and send out. So you want to be one of those. So everybody's sending them in, and
so they probably got a room full of people going, post that video, post that video, post that video. How awesome is that?
Do.
That's their advertising budget. Grabbing people, say post that.
Yeah, and
they're seeing. If you notice, a lot of people making their own homemade mounts. They're in their mouth or on taping it to the. It'd be crazy for them not to say, okay, research development, let's pull up something here. Let's make this.
It's nuts, but they just went public, so they're doing.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, a week, 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, we need to invest some of the outdoors fortune into that.
That's my gadget talk for the night. I'm a gadget hound for sure, but.
Well, good gadget, man. I was wondering what that was. I'm glad you brought that up.
This is the episode my wife shouldn't listen to.
Yeah.
All the new gadgets I want.
Yeah, so you ever notice they will always walk in and go, how much was that? Oh, yeah, I don't know. And then when something gets stolen, I had a tackle box stolen once. I cried for days. She goes, well, honey, here's $100. Go. You don't understand.
That might buy the tackle box.
Yeah, my tackle box was magic number $70. $30 for the fishing line. Now I got to put $5,000 worth of tackle on. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I imagine definitely what's in the box is worth a lot more than what's the box itself.
Yeah, because you figure I've got $500-600 lures, minimum $3 to $5 a piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's sinkers and and it's hooked terminal tackle. So.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if you had any news to talk about, but I'm excited about tonight's topic.
I am too. Our news was for tonight was basically our coyotes and our weekend.
Yes.
How we did over the weekend.
Excellent.
Like I said, hopefully they throw us up on Channel 6. Oh, real quick, and on the coyote thing, I met a super nice guy today. He works for the FWC, and he when I got with him, I got with FWC today, and the guy I spoke to was Tony Young, and he has a couple videos on YouTube. One is called "Waiting on a Tom." That's one of his #1 hits.
Yeah, when you say videos, you're actually talking music
videos. Yeah, music videos. Now, he did have an outdoor show for a while, and a big sports company was sponsoring them, and they went out of business, so that kind of shut his show down. You know, sponsors can really make you happen or not make you happen. So he had a big outdoor show, and he's got a super and awesome following, and I tell you what, the guy's a great guy. He does exactly what we do, you know, teaching people about the outdoors. I spoke to him for a long time today. He was excited to see that video. I was kind of up in the air if it was a red wolf, you know, a Florida red wolf or a coyote, and him and I established it definitely was a coyote. I kind of figured it was, but, you know, as big as it was, I was hoping something else. So, yeah, I'm going to give him a shout-out, man.
Very cool.
Tony, I hope you're listening, buddy.
Was
glad to
Tony?
meet you today. Tony Young. So, yeah, that was pretty awesome. And hopefully our guy calls in.
Where's Tony live at? He's up north, Tallahassee?
Yeah.
Area?
Yeah, he's up in Tallahassee. He's at the main FWC office. That's the capital of Florida. So he's there.
Oh, okay. Of course, that makes sense.
And the guy's a phenomenal guy. He comes down to Orlando. I told him anytime he's in Orlando, look us up, man. We can drop him in on the show. Maybe we'll even do a special episode when he gets here.
We would. Yeah,
so
anytime.
Yeah, super nice guy. So hope to do some stuff with him.
Cool.
You know, so I just want to give him a shout out.
So tonight we're buying a boat.
So tonight we're talking. Tonight we're going to talk boat topics. I mean, this has been a question I've been getting a lot lately.
Well, number one, it's right up. I'm one of these perfect candidates for this show. I'm definitely going to listen to this show because, I mean, I've had the bug for a while.
Right.
Kind of stuck 6 or 7 toes in the water and backed off, and so this topic I'm really excited to jump into.
And I got a buddy at work, my buddy Tim at work, has been emailing me some stuff. He goes, man, you know, he's buying his first boat, and he just wants a little something to go out. And when you start searching for a boat, first thing you realize there's a lot of boats out there. You know what I mean? And you have to take a lot of things in consideration on when you're buying your first boat. First, you got to establish, is it a boat that you need or want? You know what I mean? Do you really want a boat? So first of all, you're right. You have to decide what do I want a boat for, right? What is it I want a boat for? Absolutely. Are you wanting to fish out of it? Or these are things you have to consider. You want to fish out of it. You want to joyride out of it. You want to just take the family out. You just want to ride out and see the sunset. I mean, a boat is very nostalgic.
And do you want any of those extremes, or you want to find something that maybe flows over? Yeah.
Yeah. And the first thing I want to say is, when you're looking for your first boat, you are absolutely not going to find the perfect boat on your first try. You'll get hit by lightning twice in the same spot, and bit by a shark, and attacked by a bear all on the same day. Just not going to do it. I mean, first of all, you don't know what you need. You think you know, but you really don't. So it takes a few boats to adjust to what you need, and I don't think anybody ever stops buying boats. Once you buy your first boat, it rolls into other boats.
Well, I think that's an interesting point, because I've caught the fever, and in my mind, you glamorize the times of being out on the boat, the spots being out there. But whenever you talk to somebody, especially somebody who has been soured by it, you always hear that saying, the best 2 days, right?
The old saying is the best 2 days about a boat is when you buy it and when you sell it. And you know me, I use the fire out of my boats.
But does anybody who has owned more than one boat abide or live by that saying, agree with that? Wouldn't that be somebody who maybe owned a boat?
That's probably exactly. That's
because number one, if you get rid of a boat and buy another one, it's not your saying. You're not buying into that.
It is great to get rid of your boat because you're going to get another boat. A real boater is going to have more than one boat, and they're going to enjoy the boat, and this is what we're going to get into.
Well, and Manny's a perfect example. When we were discussing this exact saying this weekend when we were out, people say that. He goes, but those are people who never really used the boat.
Exactly.
So while we're talking and going through these list of considerations, that usage is going to make a big difference on your happiness of owning that boat.
Absolutely makes all the difference. So picture this. You're buying your first boat. the things to consider. What is your main goal for this boat? That's the thing. Like you were talking about, you were wanting a boat, and you just want you and your wife to go out and enjoy the water. Now, you've done some fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you consider yourself, maybe I'll do a little fishing off of it, you know, maybe one day?
In the back of my mind, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, the boat that you were talking about, just a bow rider, it's just not a very practical fishing boat. You might could get a line over the side, but when you pull your first fish in and you're fighting around a bunch of seats, you go, oh, man, you know, God, if that seat wasn't there, man, I could get this fish. And then you get excited. Then you start grabbing onto this fishing thing. And that's where Manny was. He bought a bow rider on his first boat. He just was not a fisherman. Wasn't going to have it. I'm not going to do it. I don't ever see me grabbing a fishing pole, and voila. You know, you see where he's at today. He's got a 24-foot Sea Hunt center console offshore fishing boat. So he's had a few boats up into that boat, you know. So he started out with a small bow rider. It was like 16-footer, 17-foot bow rider, and it was fun. We fit 5 or 6 people. You can only ride so much, you know. And there are people that's all they do is ride, and that's great. You know, they don't ever want to fish, and that could be the perfect boat for them.
But I can see where that ideal picture has a short lifespan,
right?
Or a sparse life. You know,
yeah.
It's not every weekend.
Exactly.
It's the occasion.
The holidays.
Yeah, exactly. 4th of July, Memorial Day.
The memorials, and during the winter, your boat's parked.
So if that's the case, and you're pulling it out 4 or 5 times a year, you know, then it starts weighing in as far as even the financial practicality.
Well, let's take that bow rider for a second. It's 4th of July. You take it out. Great. Have fun. Memorial Day, Labor Day, a couple weekends during the summer. Poof, winter comes. You really don't do a whole lot of joyriding on a boat on the water during the winter. Well, a lot of people who have fishing boats still fish. They still get out there on that water, the salt or fresh, you know, and they still fish. So they get usage out of their boat year round, which ultimately keeps that boat in good shape. So you have to figure out the practicality. How many people am I going to put in this boat? If you have a family of 4, obviously you're going to need a boat that holds 4 people. So that pretty much leaves a 16-foot boat of anything out of your range. Now you got to go a little bit bigger. You know, so you're going to want to step up to, trust me, if you're listening and you got 4 people in your family, you're thinking about buying a 16-foot boat, no, don't do it. They don't make a 16-foot boat that's comfortable enough for 4 people. They do make one that'll fit it, but it's not very comfortable.
Even though they have 4 people on the advertising ad.
It's just looking like they're having a blast. Right. You look like that one video where they're hopping and jumping and all of a sudden everybody's on the floor.
So as we can proceed, obviously there's different kinds of boats, and if you have 5 people in the room, there might be 5 different perfect scenes of how they want that boat to fit in their lives.
Absolutely.
But let's proceed with your checklist and your suggestions here.
And where we're at.
With kind of keeping that in mind. You know,
absolutely.
From somebody who just wants a bow rider to somebody who wants just a strictly fishing boat. Can we proceed with just kind of a generic?
Absolutely. And now just picture that everything, we're going to go, let's say we're buying a boat from me.
Okay.
And I'm going to go into all the considerations, and you just apply it and change it and, you know, morph, you know, these considerations to your spec and your needs. So first, I decided today I'm buying my first boat. Now,
you know, your first boat.
My first boat.
Okay.
I'm going to buy my first boat. Now, I've established I do want a boat. Now, I've established I do a lot of fishing. I do a little bit of offshore. I do a little bit of inshore. I do some freshwater fishing. So now I have to decide, okay, obviously a canoe or a kayak at this point is out of my realm because I'm not going offshore in a kayak.
Sure.
Even 2 miles.
Okay.
So it's just me. Odds are I'm going to take you, or maybe a couple buddies, or a buddy, or whoever, the kids, or the max I'll have in it most of the time is 4. So now I know a 16-foot boat is pretty much out of my calling here, out of my range. So I'm going to have to go maybe, I wouldn't go any less than 18-foot with 4 people. 18-foot anything. So now I've got I've decided I'm going to go 18-foot. And with an 18-foot, I've got to decide, great question, are you going to be in the freshwater the most of the time, or are you going to be in saltwater most of the time?
That's important consideration, isn't it?
Absolutely, because they make a saltwater engine with less corrosive parts, and they make a freshwater engine that's basically designed for freshwater. Now, if you buy the freshwater boat or a bass boat or something like that, and you take it to the, like say, Banana River or Mosquito Lagoon, you can do that, but you got to wash that thing right away and quickly, and you'll never get all the salt off of it. And if you do it a lot, then your boat's going to go downhill fast. It's just not designed for that. The trailer's not designed for it, nor the boat. So that's definitely something you take into consideration. Whew. So now,
fresh or salt water?
Fresh or salt water. Me, I do both. So I'm going to need something that can do both. What are my options? Well, you can get a bass boat with carpet in it. Not really a good option for the salt water. So let me go something, say, let's talk about an 18-foot.
So when would I get the carpet? Because my mind plays these games all the time.
Right.
Why do they sell it with carpet then?
It's pretty. It's very pretty. It's comforting on your feet, and a bass boat looks good with carpet. You know, it's a nice, but it's indoor-outdoor carpet. It withstands the rain. But to me, once that carpet is wet, it holds an extra 200 or 300 pounds in your boat. You know what I mean? So if you're out there and it rains,
it's also going to collect mold easier, depending how you take care of it.
Exactly. If you don't cover it up right. So this goes into one of the steps that things you take into consideration. What's the maintenance on it? Okay, now I have to dry the carpet out before I put my tarp on. If it rains 2 days in a row and I don't have it in a row and I don't have it in a garage, well, now I got to deal with this rain draining off of this thing for 2 days, and then I got to let it sit for 2 days while the sun dries out the carpet, and then I get to cover it. So that's where the carpet comes in. I personally would never have a boat with carpet. It's just my personal preference.
I could see that.
Yeah, we had a small boat with 16-footer with carpet, and it was just over the years we had to replace it several times. So I don't want carpet. Great. So that narrows you down. They do make bass boats without carpet. So you can find them. You can even order it that way. Hey, I want no carpet. And believe it or not, it's a little more expensive because now they have to tread the surface of the boat.
Makes sense.
So
it's easier for them to just throw carpet
in and hide all the imperfection and poof, you're ready to go. So I've decided I'm going offshore. I mean, saltwater a little bit, freshwater a little bit. I don't want carpet. And I need something around 18 feet long because I'm going to carry 4 people sometimes, and most of the time 2 or 3.
The other thing you realize as you're going down that path of, the more specific you get, the more options you open up. Well, I might want to go saltwater. I might want to. So let me get one that does both. I might want to fish. Each of those mights that you open up is more dollar signs.
Exactly. You're exactly.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely. A 60-horse saltwater engine and a 60-horse freshwater engine, essentially, they don't call it a freshwater, are going to be $2,000 or $3,000 apart. And they're both 60-horse Yamaha.
So if you want the option of being able to go on saltwater, those options are going to cost you right up front.
Right. And definitely something to take into consideration, again, in our maintenance aspect of it, 2-stroke or 4-stroke engine. I can tell you now that it's going to come to where the state of Florida allows only 4-stroke engines in the water.
Really?
Yeah, because 2-strokes, you mix the oil with it.
So
remember, even in your vehicle does not burn 100% of the fuel. And the only reason they can take the same engine and get better gas mileage is because they recycle the fuel before it comes out, and you get to burn it again. You get the double burning. Well, with the 2-stroke, you mix your oil with the gas, and as you're idling, you're just putting oil in the water the whole time it's idling. You'll see smoke bubbling up, and it's just environmentally, it's just not a very good boat. So if you're thinking about a boat right now, immediately put in your mind 4-stroke engine. Because right now in California, you're not allowed to have 2-stroke, period. If you had one, you're not grandfathered in. It's got to go.
Well, there's another point on that alone, resale value, because if you even see that law coming down the road, you got a 2-stroke, try to get rid of it in 5 years.
It's going to be impossible. And I'll tell you now, I mean, I had that flats boat with the 60-horse engine on it. It's a $12,000 engine. If anything happens, if you have to buy a new engine, poof, $12,000 engine. So it's the biggest cost of the boat itself. If you've got an offshore boat with a 150, you're looking at a $30,000 engine. If you got 2 150s, you see what I'm saying? It's
okay. Let's put this thing in gear, because you just start talking about this and you realize how deep these waters go.
Right.
And
that's why I kind of said let's pretend
every branch branches out 5 more ways.
Absolutely.
So let's say, I mean, we're an outdoor show. Let's start talking. Let's do reel it in a little bit. Reel it in.
I got
you hear that? How I did that? Thank you. Let's buy us a fishing boat.
Okay.
Let's buy this boat that you're talking about. Let's proceed.
Okay. So
we want to fish. Yeah, we want to do in some freshwater, but I'd like to go out in saltwater as well.
Okay. So we're if we're getting a boat, let's just say we're buying a Rodney Rogers Outdoors boat today.
Perfect.
Haven't done the research. I've been offshore many times. I know what the minimum capability is of a boat that needs to go offshore, and of course, there's no maximum.
And how offshore?
And when I say offshore,
I mean, you've got to be realistic,
yeah,
right?
this is my rule of thumb. I have my 16-footer about 7.5, 8 miles offshore. We caught tarpon, redfish. I mean, we control kingfish. So it's not recommended. We picked a very calm day. The ocean was like a sheet of glass. And there are days like that, but you really got to be picky. You got to be selective.
So you're limiting yourself on the number of days.
Yeah, so you really limit yourself on fishing days. So I would not, if I'm going to decide to go offshore, I would not have less than a 20-foot center console. Now, center console just means that your driving station and everything is right in the center of the boat.
Now, the advantage of that, obviously, is I'm asking, is that you can fish then, you can move all the way around the boat.
All the way around. You're standing up the whole time, so you can see over the waves as you're driving. You have a seat that you can lean up against. I mean, there's 100 different things.
Okay.
They even make a 16-foot center console, and if I was going to get 16-foot, it would be a center console, because it allows everybody to move around the boat. And in fishing capabilities, that's perfect.
You've got a fish on the line. You want to be able to move the boat.
You got to be able to move
fish.
with it, yeah. Or you lose a lot of fish that way. Now, one of the benefits is most of those boats come with seats in the front and in the back. I mean, you know, it's undubiously amount of, how you like that word, of choices out there. So with the seats, they'll give you cushions for them. So if you're just enjoying the day riding, you want to put 4 or 5 people, go to the island and hang out.
Sure. Throw
the cushions in, snap them into place.
You can still do that comfortably and have a nice social environment.
Have a great social environment, because you can see and talk to everybody around. If you have a bow rider and you have a glass windshield, the people in the front have no idea what you're saying, and you have no idea what they're saying. I know it sounds, you know, it's all open in the top, but believe me, you can't hear.
Yeah, no, especially if you're moving.
Especially if you're moving, and in your captain's seat in the bow rider, you're sitting down. You don't have an option or the choice to stand up. You know, there's a seat behind the steering wheel, and you're sitting. I mean, it's like standing up right there at your table.
Okay, so a 20-foot or greater, because we're going to go offshore.
Right, 20 foot. Let's go 20 foot. I know that my 20 foot can go offshore. How far offshore? Well, here's what I would do if I decided to go 20-foot center console, which I would have no problem with. I would pick a 20-foot. Now, there's tons of 20-footers out there. There's Contender, there's Robolo, there's Yellowfin, there's Everglades. I mean,
now those are brand names.
These
or
are
models?
Brand names,
okay.
And they're very well-built boats.
Okay.
You know, they don't make a boat that is not built well, or they wouldn't be in business for very long.
Yeah, exactly.
There are boats that are less desirable. They use more fiberglass. They're a little bit heavier. They don't quite use the technology. So you could get a 20-foot, 60 horse or 150 horse.
How much pounding can a boat take,
brother?
Did we about find out this?
No.
Sometimes you hit some of those waves, and when it pounds, that's the first thing we say. Wow, what is the structural breaking point of that fiberglass?
Exactly, and that's where those high-dollar boats come in. That's perfect. I'm glad you asked that question. Now, for those of you listening, we were actually in 5 to 6 foot waves, and as we come across the wave, and that boat slapped the bottom, the boat just shut off. It just stopped. It just bleh. We lost all power, or we lost power to the engines. So that means there's something loose, you know, and that's where these boat prices come in. You can buy a 20-footer for about $19,000, or you could buy that same 20-footer with the same engine, you know, center console, everything the same at this end of the extra. Let's just go a 20-foot Boston Whaler. You get it for about $21,000. A 20-foot Everglades of the same, you know, idea is about $37,000. So, I mean, you can get both ends of the spectrum. It's like buying a golf club for $7 or buying a golf club for $177. So each one does, you know, is built in a different way. The Everglades takes a little bit more details in their boat, so that's where it comes in.
How much did you say?
What's a 20-foot? Am I off?
No.
21,000 for a Boston Whaler.
I think you said 20,000, but
right at 20,000.
I pulled this, and there's I'm looking at 4, and I don't know if these are new years, but each one's like 19, 20,000.
Yeah. So you're right in that range. So if you look up an Everglades,
congratulating you, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. Thank you, brother. So if you look up, say, an Everglades or even a Century, you know, a Century boat, then they're a little bit more well built, and they take a little bit more time in paying attention to those details, knowing that when you drive this boat, you're going to drive it hard. really hard.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they take those extra time, they go the extra mile to lock everything down, in a sense. And those, a small part to lock it down is $50-$60.
By the way, all the Century boats say call for price.
Oh yeah.
On this particular.
There's a reason.
You know, that's always a telltale sign.
Yeah, and there's a reason. So, Everglades. I mean, there's a ton of phenomenal boats out there. Now, I will tell you.
I know. I'm telling you. So a 20-foot. We're going to go with the 20-foot.
So we're going 20-foot. I'm going to go 20-foot. My budget. I'm going to go 20-foot. Boston Whaler.
What's your budget for a 20-foot?
My budget personally would be around the $20,000 range.
Okay. Now, new or used?
That's the question I was about to say. Now I've got $20,000 to play with.
Because that's a huge fork in the road right now.
It is. And this is going to answer two questions for us. One is, okay, do I go new or used? Now, personally, I'm going to go new because I know this boat hasn't even been started the maintenance yet. You don't know. A boat, the maintenance on a boat is ridiculously exhausting.
Yeah.
If you.
Yeah, I've heard boat downs for bringing another 1,000.
That's it, but dude, and that, my man, is the truth. I mean.
But that's one of those pessimist comments. But obviously,
it's true.
It's a vehicle.
There's a reason. Is that Manny's boat, brand spanking new. I mean, it's a year and a half, almost 2 years old. Hours on it is honestly not very much. And here we got a boat cutting out on our first storm. This is the first time we've hit rough waves in this boat.
Sure. Let's call that a fluke or something.
Right.
But
it's under warranty.
But it's under warranty. But that pending the way you maintain a boat, much like a car, has to also factor into this.
That's exactly right.
If you're going to be conscientious and maintain it and wash it when you're done. And
yeah. And I know Manny's already looking for his next boat.
Sure.
And I'm already looking for enough side work to buy his existing boat because I know that thing is maintained. I know that sitting there he'll change the oil if it sits there 2 months because the oil's
so
old.
You're buying a used boat from a known entity.
Exactly. So that's the key. If you're going to buy a used boat, it helps to have as much maintenance records on that boat. If they bought it from a dealer and they take it to that dealer, go to that dealer and say, hey, where do you take it to? Oh, I take it up to So-So Marine. Go to So-So Marine, ask them, hey, does this guy take care of the boat? They'll know him. I promise you.
Yeah, and you can stop a lot of these marines and boat maintenance places. Sometimes they sell them, but these guys have looked at them firsthand. And they can give you. But again, if you don't know those people, it's still just another.
If you don't know boats, you get online and you look for a boat. There's boat survey guys. That's their job. That's what they do.
I don't think I'd ever buy a used boat without having it looked at by somebody else.
Absolutely.
Whether they let me take it to that person or that person comes out.
You want to do a compression check on the engine. You want to know. We can literally do a month show.
You know what? I mean, the fact of the matter is, this should be one show's buying a new boat, the other one's buying a used boat, right? Because it's two totally separate paths.
Absolutely.
And I think right now, just the fact of discussing what that means, the option of new versus used, because it's a huge fork in the road, and probably one you make up earlier in the process, because that decision can make the difference of whether you get the boat that you want or not.
That's exactly right. Right. And you could almost bet, and you know what, call me stereotypical, whatever. If someone has an Everglades, $40,000 to $50,000 20-foot boat, odds are they've got the money to take care of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And what happens is a lot of people buy a boat and they really don't know what the cost is in this. So they buy a boat, they park it, and poof, they just 6 months later they go, hey, it's 4th of July, let's go out there, and the boat won't start, and now they got problems. I mean, you can ask any marine mechanic how many boats he gets the day of 4th of July.
Oh yeah, for sure, I bet. But think of this: if you have, because when we were looking at a bow rider, we started this whole thing with a bow rider, like you said, and we hadn't even really talked about price. My wife had a different price in her head, which ironically was way more than I was thinking, which worked out to my benefit. But but realizing even just a bow rider, and I was thinking 21, 23 foot, right? I mean, somewhere in there.
It's a big boat.
That's bigger. What's a bow rider? What's
a bow rider could be a 23-foot boat. Absolutely.
But I was thinking about that 20-foot range.
So if you're thinking about the bow rider around the 20-foot range, you're looking at a $35,000-$40,000 boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So even for a bow rider, you knew where you could buy the same boat, late model, a decent one probably in the $8,000 to $10,000 range.
Right.
Two totally different
the
price points.
Yeah.
So it may be the fact that if you may be forced to get what you want to go to a used option.
Absolutely.
Or you're not going to be able to, and that's just a bow rider boats. Some of these bigger boats,
You can get a lot more boat in a used boat. Don't get me wrong. You get a lot more boats.
And that's what your brain says. Your brain says, well, if I'm going to spend $20,000, let me see what I can get used.
You can get an extra 3, 4, 5, 6 foot of boat, and poof.
But. And that's a big but, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, that's one big but right there.
Because that's the roll of a dice right there.
Yeah, and
for $20,000,
has
it's a
that
huge
boat
roll.
been maintained? Yeah. And I'll, if you're listening and you're looking at the first boat and you're saying, look, I just want one for the pond, you really can't go wrong. If you get a boat for the pond, I wouldn't get any. If I'm going to get a John boat, I wouldn't buy a John boat less than 16 feet. A metal John boat less than 16 feet, I wouldn't buy it.
And the fact of the matter is, especially if you want to do some fishing or take the kids out or just start to get the feel on the water, you can't discount the fact of a flats boat or a John boat or something that's just going to cost you how much?
If you're talking a John boat, $1,100, brand spanking new at Bass Pro Shop.
And
it seats 3-4 people.
And if you're talking like something like that, you might even now if you're going to buy something like that used, number one, it's less of a gamble.
Yep.
There's less to go wrong with it in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's
very
basically
simple.
an engine and a shell.
Yeah. Well, that's not even the engine. That's just the boat.
No,
if you add a 9-horse engine, now
I'd like
you
to
just
have the engine, please.
$6,000.
Okay.
So now you're at $6,100. See, that's to consider. And you can take that same $6,100 and buy an older flats boat, 17, 18 foot long, maybe 15 years old.
But again, not as much of a gamble.
Right.
If you only use it 3 to 4 times a year,
That's
it's still
exactly
less
right.
expensive than a $20,000 boat you're using 2 or 3 times a year.
Right. And what I found is people who start out simple work themselves into a bigger boat before you know it.
But you're more educated.
Right.
You have a better idea of what you want.
Yeah.
So that next step, you're going in a lot better off.
Right.
Than cold turkey.
Absolutely.
Like me, gets the hots to get a boat. Next time I know I'm 20 grand in, I really didn't know what I wanted to buy in the first place, and I use it 4 times a year.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's one of the huge considerations we started out with, is you really have to wrap your head around, what do I want to do with it? How much am I going to use it? Because that's a really expensive ride. If I use it 4 times a year and sell it in 2 years. And I've taken the boat out 8 to 10 times.
Absolutely.
That's costing me, a couple $1,000s every time I go out.
And fuel.
And fuel. But one thing we've talked about in the past is some of the other considerations of not even buying. There's other options.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's where Kim and I, at least for this chapter in our lives, is where we ended up going, well, if we really want to go out this weekend, we can afford to go rent a boat.
Exactly.
What, $200-$300 for a day?
Right.
Probably tops. And if we do that 3 times a year, 4 times a year, we spent $1,200 a year to have a boat that you don't have any of the other hassles for.
And you're not dealing with the maintenance.
And we could do that for 10 years and go as much as we want.
Yeah.
Now here's my argument with it. And man, this show's going to go on.
I know, man.
Here's my argument with it, is the fact that I won't.
Right.
We could.
But
we
fact
won't.
Is you won't. Yeah.
But if that boat's sitting in my driveway or ready, I'm much more likely to go, man, it's a nice afternoon. I'll
Grab
see
it
you in a
and
little
go.
bit, sweetie.
Yeah.
So you lose that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's such a...
Well, you know where I used to live, right by the boat ramp. How many times have I sent you pictures of sunsets of just me grabbing a boat and yanking it to the water?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? 2 seconds, 5 minutes.
You go out after work, even when there's only an hour of sun left, and just go out and fish or just ride around, and you wouldn't go rent a boat to do that. So you miss out on those opportunities.
Right.
If I want to just take my parents out for a joyride at the spur of the moment, you don't rent a boat for a day on the spur of the moment. You just don't.
Yeah.
So you lose those kind of opportunities. But what's that worth to you? I mean, there's a financial price for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know. I want a boat so bad.
Yes, I know. And you got to think, you got to add into your budget a yearly cost of that boat. You got to figure out what, your hourly maintenance, your every 50 hours or every 100 hours, and then your 1 year checkup, and you have to add that cost into your total cost. Break that down monthly and then see where it's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got inboards, we can go crazy.
Well, we bite off big elephants to talk about on these shows when we should be taking a piece at a time, because another aspect everyone just lays on is a boat club.
Exactly.
There are boat clubs.
Tons of boat clubs
that you can be part of.
And you even checked in one.
We put 8 toes in the water on one and just really checked it out and spent some time talking to it. Again, that's a whole nother conversation, but these things exist. They're not as the advantage is, it's like, you can go various places and you're not stuck with one type of boat. You can move around, but still not cheap. Those are not cheap options.
No.
There's still a price, and it's probably works out very close to having owned your own boat anyways.
So maybe let's do this, Mike. Let's continue this to next week.
Okay.
Because next week it'll be your last show.
Which fork in the road do we take? Yeah, last show.
Actually, will you even be able to do it?
Oh, we're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we have actually we'll be skipping a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, probably 2 weeks.
So after next week, Mike is going to Thailand. So that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that footage to come in.
My number one, bucket list for Thailand. I want to swim with a
whale shark.
A whale shark.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude,
I
so hope you get it. I so hope you get it. So, and then when you get back from Thailand, so next week we'll kind of pop on the show some more, and then we'll go.
Yeah, because this is a topic that's exciting to me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what chapter of this topic do you want to grab for next week?
So next week, I say we talk about boat rental options of the boat clubs, and let's finish buying our boat.
And we're going to buy new or used?
We're going to buy a new boat.
Okay.
We're going to buy, our budget's around the $20,000 range, and it's center console fishing boat. So I'm going to put together what we can get.
Okay,
and
next week we're buying a new boat. Sometime down the road we'll buy a used boat, because again, a whole different set of considerations.
Absolutely.
You're looking at different things.
And
new boat, you just know they're going to be intact.
I'll put down the list of why I chose the new boat.
Okay.
And why I thought it was best for us, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Sound like a winner?
Yeah. You know what? Sometime during this process, and I thought about this week, is sometime during this process, I'd love to go find a boat dealer that'll deal with this. Maybe some that even carries new and used.
Oh yeah.
And walk us through exactly what we're talking about. Reinforce some of the things we're talking about, but look and see and touch and have him take us through.
I think I know a guy.
If you know a guy, I know a guy who'd like to videotape that guy.
Right on.
Talking to that other guy.
There'd be a bunch of guys doing the guy thing. So there you have it. I mean, we just, and I'm going to post these notes of basically what I took over the week. I'll adjust them. This is just quick jot and why I chose, and I'll post them on the Facebook, and I don't really know how to do it to the website yet, but
yeah, and so next week, anybody who has a desire to buy a boat, call in, chat with us. Anybody who's ever owned one or more boats, you can contribute as well.
And that would be awesome, because you could tell us what made you choose what you chose, and sold what you sold to buy what you bought.
Yeah. And if you have intent to buy another boat, what are you getting rid of, and what are you getting? What's the motivation there?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot going on. What is going on? First of all, Saturday.
Saturday we have the bowling tournament.
Rodney's been sold off.
I've been sold off for $590.
Ooh. Good for you.
So I'm somewhere around the 12th place. They were doing, when I saw the Coyote today, I was writing down all the cells and the places. So I'm somewhere around 12th place.
That's good.
Out of 70 celebrities.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And one of them's the guitarist for Creed.
Oh, really?
Smoking.
Really?
Maybe. His bid's over today, so we'll see.
I thought it was all done, like last Tuesday.
No, this was a secret.
Oh, come on.
Mystery. Yeah, they didn't have enough money, I guess.
Just because you're a rock star? I don't think so.
Well, as of 3 hours into it, he didn't have one bid, so.
You're my rock star.
Rodney, thank you, sir.
So you don't have any stories for us tonight? I know we're over time, but you know what? Any boating stories? I have a boat story. I'm good at putting you on the spot, right?
I got a boat story.
Do you really?
I do.
because for the last couple of weeks I've teased about the grab bag music story.
Do you have music for us?
I do.
Well, let's hear it. I got a couple boat stories. Let's see which one.
No.
Okay, I got one then.
Rules do not. Oh.
Okay.
I will let you choose though. Box number 1 or box number 2.
Well, let's go box number 2.
Box number 2 it is. Ready? Here we go.
I'm ready. Well, this was definitely a circus. So my buddy comes into town. Timmy, he's been my buddy since the 3rd grade, one of my best friends. And he leaves, this was a few years back, he leaves his girlfriend. They're all dressed up, ready to go to I don't know where they were going, but he was awful pretty. And I was awful pretty. And I had the gator boat, shallow running. That's awesome. It's a shallow running boat. So here we are. I said, man, let's go for a ride. Wait till you see what this boat can do. And he says, man, I'm all in. And we're all dressed up. And I said, don't worry, we won't get dirty. No dirt, and we're not getting dirty. So we got the boat, and we're just bouncing away. We're just having fun. We're jumping things. And I see this little creek. And I said, man, let's go down that little creek. He says, man, I don't know, man. It looks like we might get stuck. I said, no, man, this boat is awesome. Awesome. Now we're 20 minutes into our ride. So we go down this little creek, and it gets littler and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And next thing you know, we jump this little tree log, and it's just enough to get us off the air to jump right on top of dry land. We're 2.5 miles down a trail. It was already shallow enough that we couldn't, we didn't have enough water to run in the first place. So here we are. We're looking at each other. And I said, sorry about that, cuz. I apologize. So now we got to turn the boat around, get it off dry land, and try and walk this boat out that mile and a half, almost 2 miles, down this little trail. And it's only, the water is barely ankle deep. And he said, but you said we wouldn't get dirty. I said, oops. 4 hours later.
Oh, you're kidding.
We're sweating like dogs. We have no water. It was just a quick battery dies from trying to start the engine. 4 hours later, we're dragging this boat across. We finally get in deep enough water, and our gas line breaks. The only knife I had was my can opener on my keychain, so I had to cut the gas line, threaded gas line with that.
I can see you doing it. And
rethread it back on the machine. Started the boat up, and boy, were we super happy. But I will tell you, we couldn't go out that night. We were dirty. We got super, super, super dirty. So 2.5 miles in a swamp, no cell phone signal, no nothing. We got dirty. Our pretty clothes got super dirty in this way back in the woods.
Do you ever go out and not get dirty?
No. I should have known better.
Thank you for entertaining us with your circus story. It's always a pleasure.
Circus. And as my mom always said, and I'll say it 1,000,000 times, you kids get outside and stay.